would you like to improve your health and keep your family safe? You're listening to the Healthy Home Hacks Podcast, where we firmly believe enjoying optimal health shouldn't be a luxury. Healthy Home Authorities and husband and wife team Ron and Lisa will help you create a home environment that will level up your health. It's time to hear from the experts. Listen in on honest conversations and gain the best tips and advice. If you're ready to dive in and improve your well-being and increase your energy, you're in the right place. All right, here are your hosts, bow biologists, authors, media darlings, vicarious vegans, and avocado aficionados, Ron and Lisa Barris.
We've all experienced one, but it doesn't mean we have to live with or accept a home insect infestation. Whether it's an army of ants, spindly spiders, paper-loving silverfish, creepy cockroaches, pesky mosquitoes, or tenacious termites, when insects invade our home, we feel violated. What's the first thing you do when you see a bug or a full-blown colony of critters? Most people reach for the nearest can of insecticide spray, or they rush to the store for bait traps. But before you blast these creepy crawlies with toxic chemicals, you may want to consider this. Pesticides are designed to kill living organisms. Do you really think they're not affecting your health too?
Great point, Ron. In fact, research reveals that children living in households where pesticides are used can suffer elevated rates of leukemia, brain cancer, and soft tissue sarcoma. Also, a study published by the American Cancer Society found an increased risk for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in people exposed to common herbicides and fungicides. Sadly, the list of risks goes on, including a study published in The Atlantic that revealed the collective damage to American children's brains from pesticides, such as chlorpyrifos, equates to a loss of 16.9 million IQ points. Guys, that's a lot of IQ points. The study also warns that the rising rates of autism and ADHD may be connected to exposures to chemicals like chlorpyrifos. Can we eliminate unwanted pesky pests and rodents in our homes and schools without causing harm to our health? Today, we're going to find out.
That's right. Our guest today, Kari Warberg Block, an unlikely disruptor, challenged an industry that by its very nature is toxic. As the founder and CEO of EarthKind, Kari discovered that 98% of pest control solutions sold were poison and kill methods. So she set out to invent a better solution, plant-based pest control powered by nature. Kari was the first to develop, manufacture, and commercialize poison-free rodent and insect repellents. Her efforts helped decrease consumer reliance on poison and kill-based methods from 98% to 88% nationwide. And once a mom on food stamps, Kari started EarthKind with nothing more than a package of garden seeds and a vision, and has built it into the $20 million business it is today. Also joining us today is Rita Stadler. Rita is the Marketing Supervisor at EarthKind. She serves on the University of South Florida's Digital Communications Advisory Board, in addition to leading EarthKind's marketing department. Welcome to the show!
Kari and Rita, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you.
So happy to be here.
Oh, we are so excited to have you guys. And Kari, I mean, that story about you starting on food stamps is incredible. And I hope this inspires our entrepreneur, enthused, people listening, our listeners who are thinking, hey, I can't do that, or I can't set up my goals beyond the topic that we're going to talk about today. That's just so inspiring. So absolutely. I know everyone's chomping at the bit to learn about what we're going to cover today. So let's dive right in. We all know that children are especially prone to pesticide contamination. I mean, guys, just think about all the places they crawl and walk and what they pick up and put in their mouths. So ladies, what are some of the most common hazards people are experiencing in their homes right now in terms of pest control?
Well, the most toxic, and this is Kari speaking, the most toxic is rodenticides. And it's really the reason that I started this business and came to where we are today, is we had a problem with rodents on our farm getting into our equipment. And I did not want to use anything unsafe around my kids and my pets, not to mention wildlife. And there really was nothing out there that worked and was safe and that would prevent the rodents from coming into our property and ruining stuff. They'd get into our tractors, they'd get into my greenhouse, they ate off all of I was an organic gardener, and they'd chew the stems off, they'd get into our house.
They were healthy. They were healthy rodents.
They were testing your organic limits, I'm sure. Yeah.
Smart little rodents.
And I found out it wasn't just me. This is 20% of all households had a problem with rodents and buying a product for it. But 98% of everything they bought was a toxic kill poison method. And then, of course, there was the little snap traps, which I couldn't do anyway because my finger would get stuck in them, and you have to watch them die. And that's
lose a finger doing that.
It's so inhumane. Yeah, it's so inhumane to see the rodents in those snap traps, and then those sticky ones. Oh, the ones where their feet get stuck. That's like torturous to watch.
I can't. Yeah. Those are things I can't unsee. I just can't unsee it. But with that said, rodents are still contribute to 8% of all household fires by chewing on the wires. They contribute.
Okay, say that again. 8% of fires can be attributed to rats eating the wiring.
Yes, and some experts place that up to 20%. But from what I could see, it was 8% in the research that I did. Wow. Not only that, there's over 25 known diseases caused by rodents. You have to be, definitely don't want them in your space. You need to get rid of them. I thought, maybe there could be a better way to get rid of them without having to lure them in and further risk exposure to yourself by baiting a trap that brings them in and then makes them eat it and then die.
I wanted to chime in on that for you, Kari. When you mentioned that there's so many diseases transmitted by rodents, if you do have a trap that you use, you might think, oh, well, I could use a humane trap. But then you still have to come into contact with that rodent to remove it. And there's just such a risk. Some of the viruses are really deadly. We've all heard about plague, but then there's hantavirus, and there's a lot of other diseases. And then there's even secondary infections. If the rodents have a tick on them, then you're exposed to possibly Lyme disease. Right. So it's really just better to keep it out of your house altogether, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. Rita, you mentioned plague. Is this seriously that the plague is still around?
It actually does still every once in a while pop up. I think a couple of years ago, I saw a case in Washington State from fleas off of a squirrel. So as long as those things are still in the wild, those diseases do still exist. But, medical technology has gotten to a point where it doesn't spread the way it used to. Thank goodness.
Right. And what would you say, do either of you know how many different chemicals the average person has in their blood from these pesticides, these toxic pesticides?
I think it's over 43 different pesticides in your bloodstream on average.
Yeah,
I know that some of it does come from, exposure in the home, but then some of it also comes from food. So like Kari mentioned, organic gardening is really good unless you have some mice with an organic flavor that they prefer.
An organic palate. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. We live in California, so I don't know. We don't really have a rodent problem here, but I mean, obviously it could be anywhere, but I know we in fact just went up to wine country for Valentine's weekend. And I know that's a big problem on vineyards, getting rid of, is it the gophers? I don't know. I'm actually obviously not a farm girl. But I know they have a big problem with the vines, keeping the rodents out. So hopefully they're listening, a lot of these vintners.
Yeah, something else, though, that's even, as long as we're on this fear train here, the pets, there's so many pets poisoned accidentally because they've ingested a rodent that might have ingested a poison. So,
right.
ASPCA, it's about 6,000 a year.
Wow.
And that is consistently. Even after EPA banned the 8 most toxic rodent baits, after our product became available and was affordable pretty much to anybody, they could remove those toxic baits. But there's still some out there in circulation. Pets are still, accidentally getting into it. And that's sad too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. And we've actually been spending a lot more time at home these days too. So I'm guessing we have to be acutely aware to the hazards that are at home. So what are other common household items that could be attracting these unwanted pests like rodents?
I would love to do this one, but Rita, you just cleaned your pantry out. You need to share this story.
Oh, no. I didn't even come prepared to tell that story. It's a little embarrassing. Well, I think what happens, everybody during the pandemic, especially at the beginning, there was hoarding the toilet paper, right? And everybody was buying all of the flour to bake bread. I filled my pantry up. I'm a family of 6 in my household here, so we really, really have to fill it very full. And I didn't end up using all of the things that we had initially got. And so then a few months later, I was going through and I was cleaning up my pantry, and I found, I reached for a potato and a little silverfish had squirreled over it. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And so then I had to go on to the Container Store, and I purchased all the bins and all the racks and all the labels and everything like that. I watched a couple episodes on Netflix with some organizing tips, and I had to just clean everything up. And it was a little embarrassing, but I did share it all on Instagram, on the EarthKind Instagram account, so that people could maybe learn from my mistakes and not have to go through that themselves.
Okay, so sealing up. I mean, this is a big tip too that we educate people on is, simple tips like good housekeeping and sealing in containers, right? Because even pesky ants and little tiny bugs can get into, if you've got a bag that's open, even if you roll it, even if you clip it, they can still get in there. So, they're going to find the food. They want the food. So storing in airtight containers, I think that's such a good tip. Do you have anything else we could be doing at home?
Yeah, I would take that one just a step further. And as soon as you're bringing stuff home from the grocery store, if you can, put it into a fresh container, because you might not even have any pests in your home, and you can be the best housekeeper in the world. But when you bring home something from the grocery store, there could be little moth eggs in the seams of the bag.
Yeah, we've had that happen. Yep.
Yeah, and that's awful. And so you can either place the item in the freezer for a few days, because the moth eggs, they won't survive in there.
That's a great
but
idea.
The best bet is to just repackage it into some kind of a resealable airtight container, because you never know where it's been.
And what would you say to do that with produce, grains, flour?
Definitely
rice,
all dry goods. Dry goods, definitely. And dog food is another one that's really susceptible to both moths and to mice. Mm-hmm. And so be really careful with those if you can store them into an airtight container.
Yeah. And I think that's a great tip. And another thing I'll add is caulking holes, right? Making sure you're sealing up those holes, especially with ants, because when you get an ant infestation, it's amazing. They will find the tiniest of hole that you didn't know was there. And so we're going to get into ants a little bit later, because I know you guys I have an ant remedy and all kinds of great things there.
I feel like this is story time that I wanted to chime in really quick. So I do remember a long time ago picking up pizza as a child with my family, picking up the box, taking it home. You talked about pests, and we opened up the box and we didn't find moth eggs. We didn't find, a simple little silverfish on our potato. When we opened up, we saw this menacing looking cockroach that was inside the box, and we had to immediately scramble, put it in the box, shove it in the trash, and not eat our pizza. Cause it was,
you just brought the pizza home? He came from the restaurant?
He came from the restaurant.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so you're right about that. So
that's the last time you hopefully
that's not as scary as a cockroach.
So were you still hungry then, or did you kind of lose your appetite?
I don't even remember, but I'm sure we got some other kind of unhealthy food.
Oh my God, little hitchhikers, unwanted hitchhikers. And there's never one cockroach. So yeah. Now also, because you were talking about Rita bringing things home, plants too, right? I mean, we bring household plants. We're big proponents of having lots of Kari. I see in the background in your kitchen, all these beautiful herbs and plants. And obviously plants are great for your indoor air quality, creating oxygen, some of them absorbing toxins, but they can bring pests, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Bringing Christmas trees in can introduce pests. Even poinsettias can introduce little white flies. Have to be careful when you bring those things in. Yeah, it's we have a lot of tips on our website. Actually, we put out timely things around each ritual or each holiday. Sign up for our blog, and we try to send those way ahead of everything that might be going on for people.
That's great. And that's earthkind.com for listeners. And I will have the links in the show notes. Ron, we're really on an artichoke kick. We love to make grilled artichokes at home. And Ron, remember all the little black, Kari, you can probably say what these are, these little black, what were they? Little black bugs.
They looked like ticks, but they were like
harbor in, are they aphids maybe? And they get into the artichoke, like they get really wedged in between the leaves. And we were like, no, our artichoke. So yeah, even though, you think the produce guy is rinsing your stuff good, you've got to really get in there and scrub that produce when you get home. I would agree.
Absolutely. You can soak it. There's some great sprays out there too, to keep them healthy and, keep their life force in them.
The artichokes, not the aphids. We don't want them. Am I saying? Okay. So anyway, and we use vinegar. We use just a vinegar water mixture for our produce, and that works really good. So many of the ingredients contained in bug sprays and other pest control methods are linked to a vast number of illnesses, as we mentioned at the top of the show. In fact, many people aren't aware that there are two types of ingredients listed on insecticides. You'll see inert ingredients. And by law, the EPA doesn't require manufacturers to list these inert ingredients. However, a lot of these have been shown to be more toxic than even the active ingredients. And they actually undergo less safety testing. And then you have the active ingredients and pesticides. And you'll locate this on the label to understand what is actually killing the insects and possibly endangering you and your pets. So these ingredients are often provided only as chemical names that you may not recognize. So Rita and Kari, what can our listeners do right now to make their homes feel like a safe haven instead of a pest paradise?
Oh, I think Kari's better equipped to answer that. She knows all the regulations.
I'm the science tech one here.
Okay.
I think the most important thing people can do is learn to read the labels.
Okay.
And you can find that information on our website, also in our resource center. But our company, I'm real proud of the fact that we were the first ones to come out and put our ingredients actually right on the front by percentage. And this wasn't that before, and our brand people are like, geez, you're nuts. I'm like, you know what? I care about what's in this product, right? And I think that other people will. And it's amazing because here we are, 2007 is when we got our first EPA registration, and we've sold tens of millions of these since then. And now we're actually starting to look at the label, where before they didn't, just because they didn't know, they never thought about it before. And so that now there's this aha moment happening. And I mean, cancer, my dad died from cancer. My farm husband's mom died from aplastic anemia, and her doctor said it was from mothball exposure.
Oh, wow.
And my dad was an entomologist and worked in pesticides his whole life. And that's why I dislike bugs so much, because I grew up with them in cages. I'm like, no, I don't want anything to do with these bugs. I don't want to see them. I don't want to touch them. I don't want to deal with them. I just want them to stay away. Up until the time our product came in, with the exception of those ultrasonic plugins, the only thing there was a killer. So you had to spray something and then get contact with it. And you had to spray, and it was a poison. It was like a neurotoxin, and it's killing it. And then you have to clean it up, and then you have to worry about the residual effects of that. And I thought that whole thing is absolutely insane. Why do we do this? You know, there's got to be an environmental way to take care of the pests. So there's basically two types of pesticides out there. There's what's called a federal registered, FIFRA, and then that's Federal Insecticide Rodenticide Act.
Okay.
They're regulated. And then there's a 25B, and that it's a different non-toxic mode of action to the target pest. And if you're getting into the 25Bs, you can pretty much be assured you're going to see all the ingredients on them. But there still are a lot of companies that aren't doing it. In fact, the EPA just cracked down on, I think there was 70 misbranded pesticides on Amazon.
Wow. Recently. Unbelievable. So they're not, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, they're not, if they're under that first regulation, they're not required to list all of the ingredients, right?
That's right. And
you guys do that willingly.
Yes, I'm working to change the laws. I'm working on the policy side because I think people need to know.
I definitely agree with you. I mean, we're seeing so much headway in cleaning products now, where the new bill just passed, where state of California requires the ingredients in cleaning household cleaners to be listed. Only in California, but hopefully, assuming manufacturers say, hey, we're just going to make one line of everything so the whole country gets to benefit from that. But it's amazing how long it's taken just to get that with household cleaners. I mean, you've got, like we're talking about, little kids in the home, you've got pets, you've got animals. And why would we bring in toxic products, whether it's a cleaning product or an insecticide, and without knowing what the risks are? The residuals stay on countertops, they stay on floors. It's really hard to get those residuals up. Your dog's going to go and lick it. So we should know, and you guys listening, demand that ingredients be shown to us. It's crazy that we would not know what we're exposing ourselves to.
Absolutely. That's a good point. Especially the Environmental Working Group, for example, they did a study on polluted pets. It was the first of its kind. And they found that American pets are polluted with even higher levels of many of the same synthetic industrial chemicals that researchers have recently found in people, including newborns. So ladies, do pets need special attention when it comes to actual pest control?
Yeah, they definitely do. Your pets are in your house with you, so they're exposed to everything that you are. And if you wouldn't want it for yourself, you probably wouldn't want it for your pet either. Most people feel like their pets are a part of their family. Yeah. Additionally, I think I might have mentioned this before, but dog food is a huge pest attractant. Mice love to eat dog food. Every once in a while, we'll hear a story of somebody who brings home a bag of dog food from the store brand new, and it's got moths in it. They open it up and out fly these bugs. What are you going to do? But you don't want to keep poison by your food. They're literally going to eat that. And so next month, March actually, is Poison Prevention Month. And 1 week in March is dedicated specifically to pet poison awareness. The ASPCA has said that insecticides and rodenticides are in the top 10 household toxins for pets year after year. Even though we've come out with an alternative that's safer to use when you're following the directions and you're using it the way it's meant to be, there's still just a huge risk there. And so it's really important to choose products that are made from natural ingredients you can, pronounce and understand what they are and where they come from. And it's really important to take those preventative steps, like we talked about earlier, where you maybe take it out of the package and you store it into an airtight container.
Yeah. And for listeners who can't see us, Kari was just holding up the spider away. Each product is called Stay Away, right? So you have Stay Away spiders, Stay Away moths, Stay Away rodents, Stay Away ants. And they're sachets, right, Kari? So I want to give a visual. They're literally pouches. So instead of like dousing the corner of every, I grew up in Arizona. We had the bug man, that's what we called him. And he came a lot because we lived up in the desert and we had all kinds of creepy crawlies like scorpions and tarantulas and all these things. So he would come a lot and spray, and the house just smelled so nauseating. They would tell you to leave, right? Leave because it's toxic. Oh, but then come back in, like in an hour. Well, it's still toxic. So you'd have it, you'd have it in areas where you wouldn't need it because they would go around the perimeter of the house. But I love the pouches because you just have a pouch. It's clean. It smells amazing. And you're not getting this residual all over your house or putting anyone in danger, because even if a child were to pick that up, it's not like they're going to be able to lick their hands or swallow it. And even if they did, it's mostly essential oils, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Only a mom could invent this,
Right. Even the packaging is so pretty. I mean, it's like colors of like pale yellow and blue and purple. I mean, when you're going down the pesticide aisle, like you guys like stand out as like the pretty.
Yeah, the years I spent at the cosmetic counter, it almost looks like it is something. But people, as a mom and a woman, I wanted something that was attractive. I wanted something that smelled amazing. I didn't want to have to overuse a spray like a lot of people will use a Roundup, and they'll go out and they'll spray and spray. And well, I'm going to give it a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And most of the pollution comes from the homeowners that are spraying it. Mm-hmm. And it's just because they're using more than they need to because they might not know. So I really wanted to properly dose each of ours because it was really looking at the environmental impact and then taking out the waste too. I didn't want people to have to buy something that they weren't going to use. So our products, you can put it right into the area that is going to be attracting the pest. And usually that would be, it's different for each pest. So let's look at ants, for instance. I know you wanted to talk about ants. Ants will generally come in when it starts to rain. And there might be millions of them. There can be up to 1 billion living outside.
Oh, it's good we can't see them all. It's bad enough.
1 billion? Seriously? 1 billion ants can grow?
Yeah, ants are amazing. And they live, they're mostly all underground, but it rains, they'll come in. Mm-hmm. And they don't stay for very long, but they'll come, they'll make a path, they'll get your stuff, they'll, get the food, they leave a trail, more of them come like an army of ants. That's where it came from. But here's the thing, if you kill those ants and poison back, you've pretty much just lost your termite control because you won't get termites when they're out there because they'll eat them, and stink bugs. And see, these are the things that they don't tell you, right? There's this whole ecosystem. And I saw it because I saw it working for us growing up with an entomologist. I'd see what the purpose was of all of these bugs. And how do you, so my philosophy is, why can't you just put a product down and it will prevent them from coming into that area? So they leave on their own and they go do their thing. And it works. It's amazing how fast our business is growing over the years, but people have to use it. And then they say, oh my gosh, this is so much easier.
It's easier. I agree. So Ron and I are vegan. We don't eat any animal products. And I guess, to be honest, an extension for us was we don't kill bugs. We just don't. It's part of our, I guess, core values, except ants. No, I'm just kidding. No, we don't anymore. But, just kind of like you said, we're very into the environment. We understand the ecosystem. We understand like the value of life, whether it is a bug or a human or an animal, and valuing that. And so when we switch, we got the Bugzooka. If you ever saw our episode on Dr. Oz, the Dr. Oz show, we demonstrated the Bugzooka, which is like a catch and release, perfect for like spiders. But when you have an ant infestation, that's not going to work, right? So I discovered your company and love it. And I love the idea of essential oils. I mean, what can't you do with essential oils? Like, oh my God, guys, go back a couple episodes. We did a whole show on it. Healing, it's the power of plants, using it to heal yourself, using it for relaxation, and now using it for pest control. So you're not harming the earth. You're not harming anything in your home. And it smells good. Like I said earlier, I just think it's so incredible.
Well, what's the radius that it affects? So each sachet, I mean, what would it be, like a 3 foot, 6 foot radius?
So it'd be a small room. So 125 square feet, or a pantry, for instance. So the spider repellent it's fantastic. It smells great, but you put this in an area and it's going to keeps the food away that the spiders eat. So they're not going to go there because they're not after the food. There's no reason for them to come. So if you keep putting them outside, and then you still have the environment that's attracting the food they eat, they're going to keep coming in for it. So each pest, we have a little bit different approach to it. Mm-hmm. The rodent, for instance, balsam fir tree makes its own pesticide because rodents will eat the bark in the winter. and then the tree will die because it loses its coat. And it's kind of interesting. So I saw the trees when I was out walking. I'm like, how come these trees died and these trees didn't? And I noticed there was sap, and that's how it happened. Just this blinding glimpse of the obvious, and and I started to test.
Wow.
But with each test, it's a little bit different. So how we found out that the ant product worked was quite by accident, actually, because I wasn't even working on an ant repellent, but pest control professionals use our products. And I got a call one day, and this guy says, I hate your shit. It doesn't work. And
Bleep. Beep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ship. Okay. Just kidding. We're adults here.
I was so mad because he said the ants aren't taking the bait when the rodent product is there. And he goes, it must be some. I'm just not going to carry it anymore. And anyway, they ended up doing a study, and we determined that there was a molecule that the ant would go back to the colony with, and they wouldn't let them in. They'd ban that ant.
Really?
What? That's crazy. I mean, wow.
Worse for an ant, right? That does nothing but want to follow the rules. The ant would come back and leave a pheromone trail and say, don't go there. It's probably not safe. And it was fascinating research. So then I thought, geez, there must be a molecule there that would smell really good to us. Because here's the thing. Pests don't need to be inoculated for viruses because they're that careful, and they notice if anything is foreign or different in the environment, and that's how they know.
Wow, that's really cool. Ants are pretty brilliant when you watch them. The way they do leave their pheromone trail and kind of talk to each other, and then they go on, and it's kind of amazing to watch how sophisticated they are, how they can carry like a log of a whole big block of cheese. They're not cheese, but whatever they're eating. And you list all the ingredients. You're not worried about, say, a competitor saying, well, we're just going to duplicate your product. Is that an issue? Because you do list the ingredients.
We could, most definitely. We have quite a few competitors out there now. And, cooperators. What do I call them, Rita? Neighbors. We call them neighbors.
Friendly neighbors.
Because here's the thing, 125 million households, 88% are still using a toxic kill method. Oh. There's a lot of white space. There's a lot of room. And I figured the more of us in here building the awareness, the better.
I love it. That's a great attitude.
Customers are going to choose the most effective ones. So we started early on building ratings, and our products are the #1 rated pest prevention brand. So transparency was always really important to us from that aspect too. It's like, please rate our product. We started doing 10, 12 years ago.
Wow. Yeah, I really just resonate with the idea of, like you said, pest prevention. We're talking about prevention versus killing and poisoning, right? Prevention. They just don't want to be around the smells, right? They just don't want to come near it. So they avoid it. Makes more sense, right? Than killing and all of that. And just so you guys know, they have solutions for ants, mosquitoes, spiders, moths, and rodents. Okay, so I want to move on. I know there are several. What'd you say?
Cockroaches is coming too.
Cockroaches is coming.
That would have come in handy 25 years ago.
That would have come in handy in my college apartment. Me and my roommate had cockroaches in our apartment. I was like horrified the first time I ever saw them scatter when I turned on the kitchen light. Very gross. Okay, so there are several ways to estimate the toxicity of pesticides in your home. And one easy way is to look at something called the signal word. One easy way is to look at something called the signal word, which is an indicator of the toxicity of the product. Every registered pesticide will have the words caution, warning, or danger on the label, and that word reflects the level of toxicity in the product, in case you guys listening do not know that. So products that say caution are the lowest in toxicity. If you see warning, that's a medium toxicity. And you really want to avoid anything and everything that says danger because those are the most toxic. So Kari and Rita, do you have any thoughts on label reading or other tips to keep a healthy home that's free of dangerous products like these?
I think the most important thing is, to just read the ingredients. I mean, those words, as a marketer, those words are really carefully selected to be as ambiguous perhaps as possible, to still be in compliance with the regulation, but to not scare away a customer. Right. But if you read the ingredients on something and you can pronounce the ingredients, then you can feel good about it. And if you're reading the ingredients, and I know that you were, Lisa, tripping up on even some of the names of some pesticides at the start of the show.
Right.
If you can't pronounce it, then maybe you want to do a little more research, consult some experts, see if you can find out anything else about it. And then, like we've said so many times, prevention is just the best way to go if you can keep them out of your house.
Are you guys required to use the word caution because it is designated a pesticide? Do you have to say caution?
Yeah, I actually voluntarily, I was the first company that voluntarily did use the word caution, simply because I've had kids and I've seen them stick things down the toilet.
Oh, there you go. Right.
Okay.
Or in their nose. Not that your sachets would fit in their nose.
And ours are child-proof, tamper-proof. They have a nice little label. There's even the ingredients are on the label when you open it up and take it out, the little sachet. Okay. And it's about like the size of a fist. Mm-hmm. And because here's something I just feel called to share with everybody with regards to pets. And I know this is in the inside scoop because I handle the emergency line. I did myself for many, many years. And whenever a holiday rolls around, that emergency line will ring.
Wow.
Pets will get into stuff because they're feeling neglected. Generally, that's what it is.
Really?
And they take out the things that they think they're not supposed to touch.
So they can get attention. They're like big furry kids.
Yes.
That's really funny.
So when you're preparing for the guests, folks and listeners, make sure you think about the pets too and all the things that you think that they might not get into.
Yeah. And you guys offer a pod, right? An actual pod that it's like a plastic piece that you can put the pouch. There we go. Rita is holding that up. It's beautiful, actually. And it's got a little hook. So you could hang that in your closet. You could put that right in a cabinet, in your car, I guess, even if you wanted to, right? You can put that anywhere, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I really wanted to mention that when Kari was talking about, designing a beautiful product. I think that some people might feel kind of embarrassed to have a pest product in their house. If you have company coming over, do you really want something that says even stay away spiders is a lot less embarrassing than, say, a snap trap. But if you really feel like you have some looky-loos that are coming over and you want to be more discreet, you can hang it in this little pouch pod. So it just looks like
it looks like an air freshener almost.
Right. Yeah. And it really does. And it actually, the holes and the cutouts in it make the scent disperse at a slower rate so that the product lasts longer. You would normally have to change the pouch maybe every month. And in this, it'll last about 3 times longer.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you want to get those cases, guys.
Yeah. And Kari's the mastermind behind this, but the product actually, it looks and it feels like plastic, but it's not plastic. Kari, do you want to tell them how you made that pouch pod?
Sure. This is a bio-based plastic. It's made with flax grown in North Dakota.
Wow.
And, I worked with North Dakota State University and material scientists from all over the world, and we put together this great little bioplastic. So it was the first bioplastic to be commercialized in the country and at scale. So this product is sold, across the country. So
that is fantastic, guys. Kudos to you. So when you're done, it'll biodegrade completely back into the earth. Wow. That's like, talk about the cycle of life there. It's amazing.
That's like music to the ears of our executive producer of this show. He is heavily involved in sustainability and green. And so you're making him smile right now.
He's smiling. He's smiling. We can't say him. And you guys, it's true. We've all been to him. He just gave a thumbs up. Yay. We've all been to someone's house and seen the disgusting, I won't name the company, but we all know who they are. The little ant traps, the black plastic ant traps. They're so unsightly. And, having an infestation makes you feel dirty, even if you are a good housekeeper and your house is clean, right? It makes you feel icky. And then you've got these ugly, dirty traps that are toxic. And so I love that you created something that's aesthetically pretty, that isn't going to harm anybody. And like I said, that smells good. And maybe you can tell us some of the scents that you use, like for ants. What are some of the essential oils that are in the ant?
Sure. I'm going to grab my boxes here. Too bad we don't have a camera so people can see.
I know. We can take a snapshot. Yeah, we'll do some snapshots.
So for the ant repellent, it's made with lemongrass, peppermint oil, and thyme oil. And
my goodness, yum.
Yeah, the carrier we use is all plant-based. These are 100% bio-based, certified by USDA, and they're also certified cruelty-free.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's pretty cool, but it's all plant-based inside. And we use a lot of essential oils in this. I mean, it's amazing. You should smell our factory. People can't believe we make.
Wow. They're like, this is pesky. So it's lemongrass. What was in there again? Lemongrass. What are the other?
Lemongrass, peppermint oil, and thyme.
And thyme. Okay. Yeah. And isn't rosemary good for ants too? People tell each other the wrong oils all the time. Like I hear people talking at like cocktail parties and they're like giving people wrong information.
Amazing. I grow it year round. In fact, in the morning, I'll have just a tiny bit. I leave it in the soil and just take a tiny bit. And I swear that is like the best thing in the world for staying healthy.
Rosemary.
I never get sick. And, but really? Rosemary does work. Rosemary is great for pests. And a lot of people use it interchangeably with thyme oil. Okay. But we've had excellent study on thyme oil, and we've actually used it in our cockroach repellent too. And it had about 80% efficacy for Asian, American, and German cockroaches, which is totally unheard of. Never happened before.
Really? But that's incredible.
Where the plants are growing and the natural environment they're in, because I know this from being from North Dakota and being a master gardener, an organic gardener, you almost, plants will grow stronger based on the environment that they're in. And so if it's in really cold and harsh conditions, they're going to be a little bit stronger,
Oh, I see. Hardy. Yeah. They have to withstand all that. Mm-hmm.
They're North Dakota tough then, that's where
you're
you
North Dakota tough. Yeah. You got to be a tough plant if you survive that.
And the spider repellent has rosemary oil, lemongrass, and citronella.
Oh, interesting. Citronella. You always think it's just mosquitoes with that.
Yeah. And the moth repellent has cedarwood, geranium, and geraniol.
Yum. I love the smell of cedar.
So
I'm going to put some of that out, even though I don't have moths.
Moth repellent. I'm so excited to share this too. We had it tested in Europe because there's a huge moth problem over there right now. They can't get it taken care of. So they heard about our product, they tested it, and they gave us the approval to start selling there this year. And they found it to be the most effective moth repellent globally that they'd ever found or tested. So,
wow, fantastic!
I'm excited about that because it works really well in food settings and in closets as well. But when people eat a lot of organic food, there's going to be more moths because it's processed very differently.
I see. Okay. Good to know. Yeah. And again, going back to the pod, you can hang that. That one's a really good one to hang in your closet for the moths.
Oh, that's perfect. And ladies, you have thought of everything at EarthKind. You thought about the biodegradable plastics, the organic ingredients, the transparent labeling, all for inside the home. But what about the outside of the home? Do we need to worry about pesticide exposure from other sources? Have you thought of this?
We have. We've had many of our big customers are asking us for products all the time to put outdoors. Love your brand. Go outdoors. Go outdoors. And actually, what it was a strategic decision that I wanted to take care of the most toxic things first to people and to the environment, to our pets. Which is why I started with these, because there wasn't solutions that were effective and safe as well. So there is, we've been investigating outdoor things. We've had a number of things that we're testing, but we are overachievers. So it's like, how do we make this from 100% egg based, right? How do we make it super easy to use and effective and affordable, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And available. So we've got a couple really innovative, very cool things like it.
Up your sleeve?
Yeah.
He doesn't want to reveal. We know the cockroach.
Wait, 2021 or 2022? Are we getting the inside scoop here?
Oh, no, we're talking more 2022, 2023. But just say I feel like Tinkerbell on these.
Okay. Oh, then you're going to be back and you're going to share it here then with us and our listeners, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to chime in a little bit on that. I know that there's a lot of development in the way of things that you can do outside to help prevent the pests, but everything harkens back to that concept of you just got to prevent it. That's how you get ahead of the problem. So for outdoor pest control right now that you can do that you don't even need products for, just landscape management. If you trim the bushes and the shrubs back from your house so that they're not actually in contact with your house, that'll cause a reduction in the pest activity. And then that kind of leads into something called integrated pest management. And Kari's been really active, both just in schools locally and on a policy side to help get the policies changed so that they're not using those harmful pesticides in schools. Because, you can control what you do in your home, but how are you going to protect your family when you're at work, when you're at school, when you're at a hotel or at an event?
Right.
And so we try to offer these products both not just for home use, but through commercial division so that people can buy them to use in the larger organizations and institutions. And that kind of is a nice segue into something that we've just launched this year called the Harmony Hero Award. Kari, do you want to tell Lisa and Ron about that?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So we decided, we did a bold thing and decided we were going to have an entire year devoted to the monarch butterfly. We're calling it the Year of the Monarch. And the monarch population has been diminished like 90% of what it really needs to be. Monarchs are pretty critical for pollinating the wildflowers, and the wildflowers are needed for other pollinators, and it all works together. But we've chosen eco education this year. Teachers, we are going to be nominating 11 teachers this year as a Harmony Hero. And then that teacher is going to get their name in the hat to win a trip to Mexico to visit the monarch habitat with a entomologist guided tour with 3 of their friends. And this monarch habitat, it's amazing. It's like being in a fairy wonderland. It's nothing in the world like it. Millions and millions of monarchs go down there every year.
Spring break for the monarchs. Well, was it last year or the year before? They were migrating. They only do it every X amount of years. And I look out the window in our house. I'm like, what is in the sky? You were driving and there were just butterflies everywhere. Everyone was out in the streets asking each other. Thankfully, we had some smart neighbors who educated us and said, hey, they're migrating to Mexico. It was really quite spectacular. We had so much rain. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. Do you remember, Ron?
I think it might have been 2 years ago.
And it just went on for a couple of days. And like you said, it was so beautiful to see just this like sea of orange and just, seeing nature happy and like doing what it's supposed to be doing. But that's great, you guys. So go teachers. How do people nominate a teacher?
So they can come to our website and find it. Look for a little thing that says Year of the Monarch. Click on that.
Okay.
We have a series of social posts going out. We'll be doing webinars and all kinds of things on it. We'll be working with schools across the country. There's 5,400 eco schools and there's eco teams.
Wow.
And we'll be going and doing some free in-service training for the teachers.
Nice.
Even just things as simple as what Rita said about prevention. Door sweeps and caulking can prevent 90% of the pests coming inside.
Wow. And taking your trash out regularly. Don't let that trash. Don't keep dirty dishes in the sink, right? I mean, there's a lot of little common sense things that And I love, Rita, how you mentioned integrative pest management. It's something that we discovered years ago when we started our business, and just kind of going hand in hand with, we want to use the least toxic method possible. And even, what is it called when you bring in, say, ladybugs into your garden? That's part of integrative pest management too, using natural, the way that nature's intended to be. So I just love that. And I know, Kari, you have said nature has an answer for everything. And that answer isn't bringing harmful chemicals into our homes. And we could not agree more with you. So is there anything else that you have up your sleeve that you wanted to share before we kind of close out the show?
Well, over the next year, actually in the next month, I'll be launching a book. I wrote my first book.
Ooh, congratulations.
Wow.
It's like, I know, really add one more thing to this year, but I did.
Right. Like you don't have enough on your plate.
And the book is called Gathering Around the Table, A Story of Purpose-Driven Change Through Business. And I wrote this book because this is the book I needed when I was 18 and started my first business.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's for budding entrepreneurs?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a book that, these are the things they don't teach you in college. Mm-hmm. This walks kids through how I made decisions from a place of values, because oftentimes they'll teach you things outside of yourself. This is what you need to do, and you follow this pattern and this. And I can tell you that those days are over. Mm-hmm. The way business is going to survive and exist in the future is going to require resilience. It's going to require critical thinking skills, all of the things that kids learn in eco-education, things that kids learn from nature. Mm-hmm. A lot of what I learned came from nature, but a lot of it is observation and listening to that, that voice inside of you, and trusting your gut, because, I can tell you from where I am, starting on food stamps and, making
that's amazing. Wow.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
Where
Incredible
I am.
Story. You're so inspiring. You really are.
So inspiring. Yeah. And, it's like changing that bottom line from just profits, which is kind of what you were talking about. Like we're indoctrinated into just bottom line, stockholders, money. But it's changing just the profits from bottom line to people, pets, and the planet. And profits. You can have profits too, but you've got to value these things, because like you said, the landscape is changing. Our earth is like going through so much destruction that if we don't start taking care of the ecosystem and the land around us, there isn't going to, none of that else is going to matter. Those profits aren't going to really matter. You can't buy a new planet.
Yeah, and people's jobs matter too. Rita can attest, because we're early before our time, but she had a baby. It's bring him to work. If people have a problem on the phone, screw them. Just say, hey, I have a baby here.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a baby and I'm working, so supporting my baby. Yeah, when I think also with the lockdowns and COVID, we are very used to all the noises now in the background, right? I mean, you've got kids screaming and dogs barking, and it's kind of getting, things used to be so serious and, a little more, I don't know. I like that they've become a little more casual. I mean, I see you're in the kitchen, and, Rita's in her office, and, we're all kind of, what works for us.
We met Rita's cat.
Met Rita's cat. He's been making some cameo appearances throughout the,
he's a lot quieter than the baby was, but definitely a little
right. You can keep that incognito. Well, again, Kari's new book is called Gathering Around the Table, A Story of Purpose-Driven Change Through Business. And I will put a link to that in the show notes. You guys, this was so incredible. Thank you so much, Rita and Kari. You guys were great. And listeners, I hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did. Remember, friends, if you want protection from pests without poison, check out the full line of product solutions from EarthKind at EarthKind.com for ants, mosquitoes, spiders, moths, rodents, and soon to be cockroaches at earthkind.com or your favorite retailer. All the links will be in the show notes at ronandlisa.com/podcast.
And don't forget to tune in next week to find out what the heck is going on in your home. Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining.
This episode of the Healthy Home Hacks podcast has ended, but be sure to subscribe for more healthy living strategies and tactics to help you create the healthy home you've always dreamed of. And don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best content. See you on the next episode.